Sonic and the Fallen Star is definitely a video game. Your enjoyment with this one will probably almost exclusively come from if you like the game's style or not. Personally, didn't really like the style all that much going into the game, and after playing it, I admittedly still don't. I will say I did like it more while playing, but a pretty big issue this game has is that a lot of the levels are too samey. The palettes for most zones are mostly comprised of blues, greens, and purples, and while I like all those colors, the different stages don't offer much of visual variety. They may seem like they do on paper, but tile tracks and discount districts are very similar in terms of theme, and they come right after each other. Not to mention Tile Tracks comes after the first level in the game, which has a fairly similar look to it. I think it would be more memorable if they were combined into one zone, with Tile Tracks being the first act and Discount Districts being the second act. The level design itself in this game is pretty basic. You could play this at the morgue and no one would bat an eye. And the entire game is focused on having you just go fast, and while that's a decent enough way to approach classic Sonic, it leaves levels feeling more forgettable, not helped by the similar visual style shared by zones. The level designers probably noticed this hold right to win gameplay and tried to correct it by having these sections where you're going right but then are blocked by a wall, so then you have to go left and then go right again. They show up a lot in the levels and are probably the worst any stage in this game gets. As for the music, it's definitely there. Most of it has a similar style to Sonic Mania, which is fine and fits the game overall, but I'm not a huge fan of it. I do like some tracks like Frozen Fountain Act 2's theme, which reminds me a lot of Air Raid from Thunder Force 4 for some reason. The special stages are kind of bad. Nothing else to say, moving on. The bosses are all solid for the most part. The only one I didn't like was this Discount Sonic Colors boss, but outside of that, they were all fairly decent. There's a random Metal Sonic fight in the greenhouse level for some reason that changes to Stardust Speedway Bad Future midway through, which is neat, although the asset clash is very visible. I do wish that they had redrawn it in the style of the rest of the game and it would have fit more. Despite me being critical of the levels earlier, it does get better in the last third of the game with some very interesting level themes. Carnival Crater is a cool idea for a level. Raspberry River is a pretty unique level that reminds me of the 5th island from Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. And the final level is the only mechanical themed level in the entire game, which makes it memorable for that alone. The game also features fully animated cutscenes, which are okay. Most of the time they just use in-game sprites, but sometimes they use close-up shots and do a kind of comic-style panel, kind of like what Sonic and the Secret Rings did for its cutscene. The final boss is okay, and the true final boss is also okay. Beating the game unlocks an art gallery and stage select, which are both pretty cool unlockables. Overall, if you like how Sonic and the Fallen Star looks, you'll probably enjoy it. I do wish it had more variety, though. Sonic Classic 2 is... hold on. Give it a minute. Pretty good. While it definitely has the best level design out of all 3 games in this review, it's a Sonic game you've played before if you've played a lot of classic Sonic, and yeah, it also tends to run like piss, especially on lower end hardware. While it definitely has enough new ideas to stand out from the crowd, the level themes aren't anything that hasn't been done before. Beach, industrial, ruin, snow, carnival, jungle, flying airship. Even though they've been done plenty of times, Sonic Classic 2 does manage to make them its own. There's no mashing of themes here. The snow level is just a snow level. The ruins level is basically a Marble Garden clone visually, but they still have enough personality to be memorable. The original Sage 21 version had a completely original Genesis soundtrack that is actually pretty good. Levels are designed pretty big, but I never felt too disoriented or overwhelmed. This game probably has the most solid level design out of the 3 games I've talked about in the review. I just said that! Why is this here in the script? It also has the most creative take on the drop dash, where it's tied to your current speed, making it feel not as mindless as it tends to be. Huh? You also still have the insta-shield in this game, so it's an automatic win over the Triple Trouble remake. Spoilers. The bosses in Classic 2 are okay for the most part. The Tallest Tempest and Murky Mines bosses suck. They suck. Overall, Sonic Classic 2 does a lot new, but not a lot new at the same time. It's a game you've played before, but with a new coat of paint and a few interesting ideas like its shield mixing mechanic. I definitely recommend checking this one out if you've played a lot of 2D Sonic and want more. Well, that's the end of this video. I was planning on including a review of Sonic Triple Trouble 16-bit, but I had written a lot more script than any of the other 2 reviews in this video, and I just did not end up that happy with how it came out and what it was going, so I decided, just for the interest of time, to just cut it from this video, and I'll make a separate review of Sonic Trouble 16-bit. I'll have to replay the game. It's been a while since I first wrote this script, and I've been sitting on this video for a while, so I just decided, I just need to get something out. So I will definitely be reviewing Sonic Trouble 16-bit in the future. That is, I have unfinished business with that game, so stay tuned for that.